Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Spring Fishing and Boat Show. And we are, I don't know, today is Muskie Sunday. It's become a ritual at the Spring Fishing and Boat Show, and over the years, and that's a special thank you goes out to Muskies Canada and all the support they put into this day over the years. And we'll be back again next year. I know it means a lot to you guys, and we try our best to bring in, the quality speakers, and then quality meaning guys that really know what they're talking about. And that's been the whole thing with the show this year. We didn't get into the tips. We got into getting to know who these guys are and the information they bring to you and how valuable it really is. So it's important to know that we're bringing in qualified people to speak at the show. And the guy that's about to come on next is a personal friend of mine. I've known him for years, and I can't begin to thank him for all the years of support he's given us. So let's just bring him aboard. It's none other than himself, the big man, Big Jim McLaughlin. There you go.
What's going on, dude? How are you?
Good. How are you, Jim?
Good. I got all excited when you showed that commercial. I've had so many people ask me about that flash boost, and that's it right there.
That's
you
the
can't
goal.
hold it still.
You know
It
what?
wants to move. Yeah.
The thing is like that's a lot of that stuff at this weekend would have all been exposed. People would have been seeing it all, and that's what made the fishing show. But today's Muskie Sunday, and you've always been the drive behind that thing, and but there's so much more, dude. You helped me open every year. You'd open the show. We'd be there at 1:00 on the stage, welcoming everybody to the fishing show. But before that, actually, it starts before that for you, because we'd be doing the Angler Hall of Fame breakfast, right? The industry breakfast in the morning. And, those, when you think about all those things that have been happening around the show, and not to mention the after stuff, the after party,
I slowed down at that a bit in recent years.
we had a party for you one year. We've done all kinds of stuff there.
When I turned 65, it was like 3 parties. We went to the restaurant and everything, and got to spend the time with some wonderful people. There was that was one of the most amazing memories I have. In fact, I was just there was a thing came up when we were at the restaurant, and I felt really sad because somebody posted it, and it was a little snippet, and I'm sitting with Chris Jones.
Oh yeah,
he's across from me. And there's Jeff Janows there, and Tom McNair, and Jimmy Lindner, and Jeremy Smith, and a whole bunch of guys. And on the other side, singing "Happy Birthday" to me, is Rob Cadeau, who is no longer with us and was an absolute muskie freak. So it was really cool to see the memory. But at the same time, I sort of, there's Rob. He's not here anymore. It's all part of it, though.
But the person and for what he's done and who he was will always be here. And that's the thing about that. We still talk about like people that have gone and they're no longer with us, and even guys like Brad Fisher. I hate that. I'm not saying that in a way, but I'm saying how many times that even in my life I find that name still comes up, right? And the thing is because of it reflects on what we love, and when you're a good person like Rob is, I went to his fundraisers. I did all that. The love and support around his family was incredible, and it made the person, it showed who the person really was, right? So, but anyway, it's a very sad thing. But like that night, that dinner, I remember it was a lot of fun. I look forward to those dinners every year because like it's my night where I sit with all you guys. I think that was a second dinner because we have our annual dinner with all the guys together, right?
Yeah.
So thank you. And that's a big night for me. I was talking to Gord about that, and I said that's a big night for me. I love sitting at that table with you guys, and it just makes me feel like I'm important.
Well, yeah, you know what? The Spring Fishing and Boat Show is so cool because, like, I'm the taxi driver. I pick them all up in the morning, like Jeremy.
I forgot that part.
Like James, like Lindner, Gord will be there. I grab them all. They all pile into the vehicle in the morning, and we head down to Zet's. We all have breakfast, and then we go over to the show. And like we've done that for so many years, it's just really cool. They just sort of assume you're going to be there. It's we've been doing it for a long time. It's just really, really cool.
It's funny because like I passed you and I passed all the guys in the hallway on Muskie morning because obviously the show starts, the Muskie Sunday starts a lot earlier. So, I pass you guys in the hallway, and and I don't think you just know you have to be there in the morning. You guys go, it's pretty good, but it's
What you do,
yeah, you know what,
well,
it's become a ritual that we need to get going
well,
again.
Andy, there's a lot of shows out there, but I'm not saying this because I'm with you. You know that the Spring Fishing and Boat Show is fishing. It's what it is. It has such a huge component to fishing. All the speakers, the knowledge that's shared, the stuff that's available, and it's definitely the best fishing show that Canada has ever had. It's absolutely incredible. I don't know what we do without it. I look forward to getting back to it next year for sure, though.
Well, dude, I that means a lot to me, and
Nope.
I can only say one thing, that it is what it is because of the guys like you that are behind it. Because you're there the whole weekend, dude. You're there from Thursday, actually. You're there right up to Monday. You're the first guy there. You're one of the last guys to go, depending on whether there's a snowstorm or not. But it's true. You've always had the battle of storm at either end of it, whether it's at the beginning and I'm running late. I'll be 15 minutes, but I'll be there. Or Andy, is there any way I can get on this? Maybe get out of here half an hour early. And respectively, I don't you're driving that's a long haul. And
sometimes I hitchhike too.
What's that?
Sometimes I have to hitchhike too if I don't have the truck.
Yeah.
It's a long way with 6 or 7 fishing rods in a suitcase.
But your year doesn't start at the fishing show. You actually start, I guess, would be the Toronto boat shows where you actually start with your seminars, and that's a whole
and sometimes a lot of years the ice fisherman evenings that we usually do with Dave and Will.
Yeah.
They start in December a lot of years. At the beginning of December, because I get the memories come up on the phone, and I'll say to like we were talking about this a while ago when we thought we might get to do some, and I said, geez, we should look at doing some, right into the beginning of the new year and whatever else. And Dave said, well, we used to do them earlier, didn't we? And I sort of thought to myself, I said, yeah, and then all of a sudden the memories pop up, and it's like December 6th, December 7th, December 8th, you'd have, 3 seminar nights in a row at 3 different stores. And it's just, you just get into a habit of doing things. And like a lot of them, we do every year, you come up with new information, new presentations. I always get stuck talking about bluegills and crappies, but it's what I really love to do. But no, it's a full-time thing. And, people always ask me, what can I do to be in the fishing business? And I said, well, you got to do stuff. You got to keep yourself busy. One of the best things that was ever said to me, it was said to me by Tom Brook, who was my absolute mentor, who was the vice president with Shimano. And he said to me that it was so cool that he never had to find something for me to do. And I just think that that's really, really cool. Like the odd time he would call and say, hey, somebody can't show up. Can you do this or whatever? But man, oh man, just keeping busy. It's the whole deal.
Talking about Tom Brook, because going back, I remember I was working tight lines. We were at the old Sportsman show back in the day. And I remember Tom Brook bringing me a Shimano shirt. Because I used to fish GM Pro Bass back in the day, right? And Bass Ontario back then. It was back in late 80s. And nothing in this industry has ever meant so much to me as the day when Tom Brook himself, he was the man, dude. He just seemed like he was a part of everything, and he was, he brought me that shirt, and I was in the booth there, and he goes, you know what this means, eh? And I'm like, I still remember it. I don't know what, there's certain things you just never forget. And he goes, you're part of the team, Colada. That was it. And I goes, and it made me feel good. I know I was working with John, but then I didn't know what that really meant. And then, first day we are fishing GM Pro Bass, and you know what? He comes over and starts talking to me like, who am I? I'm like, this guy's a president of a company. I'm like, and it really made me feel good, dude. And we've been friends ever since. He has supported our tournaments. He supported our shows. He supports the whole industry, dude. You know what I mean? He's done so much that people aren't aware of the seeding of some of the great things that are going on and where it actually stems back to, right? So, Tom Brook is definitely a fantastic, great person. We should have actually had him on the show. Maybe I'm going to get him on one day just to talk to him. And
I was talking to him earlier this week.
yeah,
Yeah,
is he here or in Florida?
yeah, just a quick text back and forth there, right?
He's a really good guy and a Hall of Famer, as you are. You're a Hall of Famer as well too, and well deserved 2 times. Like you're pretty awesome, dude. Like I, I tell people straight out, like, yeah, we started it, but it wasn't us that made it go. It was you guys that are making it happen. Like you guys voted this week on who the next. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who it is or not because I'm not allowed to say. It was voted on, and then I guess we're doing it Friday morning. I guess we're doing the announcement.
Did they pick the guy I voted for?
I'm not sure who you voted for. that's one of Vita's and Victoria's many jobs of filtering through everybody's,
Some sign language here. I'll know who you voted for. The secret fisherman sign language.
But it's the thing with that whole Angler Hall of Fame is it's not just a name or just a person because of who he is, but it's because of what he's done and what he represents, right? Like yourself, what talking about Tom Brook, right? Bob Izumi, obviously, you know what I mean? When you're talking about the figures that are there, and then you start, and this is what supports me about the show, because even like Gord Pizer and stuff like that, to understanding, like, you guys tick. Like you're spinning like for every turn of a reel. That's how your heart turns. It's like you guys are so into fishing. Like and that's what the show's about. Like I want to know is like and let's go on with it. Like when did you first start fishing? Like was it something that was brought to you later on in life, or was it something you were just born with?
Hey Andy, I was a Forces brat, and we moved to Ottawa, and I told my dad I wanted to go fishing in the Rideau Canal. And I still remember them bringing me downtown in some little hardware store down around in the market in Ottawa and buying me like a rod and reel. It was probably like $3.99 or something for the rod and reel, because this would be like 60 years, 65 years, 63 years ago. It's a long time ago. And I got the rod and reel, and they brought us over to the canal. And I still remember my dad. He was a little impatient. He wouldn't have made a good fisherman. And we were there fishing for a couple of hours, and I'm running up and down the edge of the Rideau Canal over behind Lisgar High School there, and in the bushes and chasing birds and whatever else, and they're sitting there waiting for it to catch a fish. And of course, we had a worm and a hook and a sinker. We had no idea what we were doing. And then he handed the rod back to me. He was sitting holding the rod. I came back over, and he gave me the rod. And he said, "Here, you got to hold it if you want to catch a fish." So about 10 seconds later, I caught a catfish, and that was it. I was hooked forever. It was just one of those things. And man, like before we went on here, I mentioned to you about in high school, I had a rod and reel in my locker at high school, right next to the beers. No, but it was like when you're young like that, and I'd run over to the canal if I had a spare period, because it was only like a 5-minute walk, literally from the school. And I'd fish, and it was just what I did, and it just grew and grew and grew. And then I worked for Delta Hotels when they did their expansion as a project manager for a while, and then I decided I was going to open a bait store. Oh, so wow. We did that, and I just know fishing just became part of my life. Like I grew up, after high school, I had a couple of jobs. I worked for a few years over at E.B. Eddy's and on the Hull side there behind Ottawa, and I did that. Then I worked in bars for quite a while at the door, because I was a sort of rather larger than most and had the ability to shake people around if I had to. But it was all we did. We'd go to work at the bar at night. We'd go home. We'd get up in the morning and go fishing, and go home at 2:00, sleep, and go to the bar to work. It was what we did. I had a buddy of mine, Terry, who's no longer with us. We lived together. We shared an apartment, and man, oh man, we fished. We had this. Well, he had this Camaro. It was really souped up. Like, I mean, one of those things that in first gear the wheels would just spin if you touch the gas. And we had a roof rack on that with an aluminum boat.
A Camaro.
People used to look at it. You'd drive by with the roof racks on it when the boat wasn't on it, eh? and you get this, they'd just be looking at you with Bob.
So
That's where, that's what I often tell people, Andy. I started off fishing for walleyes in the Ottawa River. That was basically what we did.
Yeah.
And I got into back trolling, and this was, I discovered the Lindners very, very early. I was in my teens, and it was just one of those things. I got into, floating night crawler rigs, Lindy rigs and stuff in the river there. And then I started using floating jig heads, and everybody was, what the heck are they? Well, I bought them out of the States because you couldn't buy a floating jig head in Canada back then. And we went through all that. Then I discovered you could get your picture in the paper if you caught a muskie. So we took up muskie fishing and had a great time with that. Caught a bunch of those, and I still have a real passion for it. But and then all of a sudden I discovered, hey, you can win prizes if you catch bass. And we saw Bassmasters, and I was fortunate enough to win a few boats and stuff and other things. And it just that's just the simple progression of it. And I loved every step of it. And that's why I tell people, I really think a lot of the best anglers in the world are multi-species anglers, like by far.
Well, it's because you're bringing that, whatever you're doing there, to different species, and you're finding it's not so much. I believe that it's the presentation. A lot of times the same word, but that presentation might slightly change to make that difference. And doing that for multi-species, you end up doing it within the same species. That makes you that much more better at that angle.
Like, look how fast these guys from the southern states have adapted to catching smallmouths up here in the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence. When they didn't know, 10 years ago, they didn't know what a drop shot was. Well, a lot of guys here didn't know what a drop shot was 10 years ago either. But they have adapted it, and they're not just able to catch fish, they're able to win doing these things. And, you hear guys from Alabama and, Florida, and you always think just a flipping rod or something, or a frog, or, jig, that type of stuff. And they come up here and they just lay waste to it. And it's because they have the ability to adapt. And that's why you look at guys like Van Damme. It's not just the adapting and learning, it's how fast you can do it. And when you watch him recognize things change on the water and adapt, it's truly a gift. It's just an incredible thing to be able to do that.
Well, that's Corey and Chris. You just they got 3 days of practice on a body of water they've never seen or haven't seen for a year, and they have to figure out what those fish are doing in those 3 days and making it work. And sometimes that day where you're actually out there, when it comes to tournament day or it comes to your day of fishing, that's when it all matters, because that's where that's the only day you got off at work, or that's the day where you have to make it work to make the money check. So, but hey, you wouldn't happen to have maybe a newspaper clip of you holding that muskie, would you?
You know what I do? I have stuff on my phone
of you and the muskie. I just want to see how.
Yeah, it's really funny because I saw a whole bunch of photos here a while ago, and I went, I've been looking for old photos, eh? You recognize this guy?
Oh, yeah.
He's 13 years old there.
That's incredible, eh?
I was talking to him yesterday. We got him. He's going to come on CFN with us on Monday night.
Oh, that's cool. Great guy, man. Great guy. We had him on too yesterday. It's just fantastic. I remember you actually sitting on him once on one of the shows and doing an angel. I don't know. That was up north or something. It was
poor Bob.
Poor Bob. You used to say it's not something you get hurt at, a job that you get hurt. So where did the name come from, Big Jim? Did it come from your boxing, from your days of being the bouncer, or did it come from fishing, or is it just something you got at birth?
It just became just because I was bigger. I'm 6'4", 300 plus pounds. It's it's just one of those things you get tagged with that name.
Wow. I'm
looking hard for these pictures. I know I got them.
Okay, well, why you keep looking so we can talk at the same time? But what about what's your favorite fish? Is it muskie or is it everything?
Oh, it'd be a largemouth bass.
A largemouth bass. That's your number one.
I used to fish I used to fish, do a lot of muskie fishing.
Oh my God, that's a beautiful fish. That's from the Rideau area.
That's the Ottawa River. Yeah, that was out with Mark Thorpe that day. Here's a more recent one.
Oh, wow. that's a beautiful tiger
That's a
mud.
bit of a group. It's a really pretty fish too. It's one of
Yeah.
the nicest ones I've ever seen. But like I say, I used to love musky fishing. I was well, it's the fever, right? You get it, and you can't look back at it. It's just one of those things. But it's no, it's amazing over the years the fish, and you look back and you try to think to yourself, like, is a largemouth bass my favorite fish now? Yeah, I still tend to gravitate toward them. I just like the whole approach of doing it. I have no problem going out and catching smallmouths. In fact, I knew about the smallmouths in the St. Lawrence probably somewhere, I would say, 3 to 5 years before people really discovered that they were there and the numbers that they were in. And I had learned to drop shot. In fact, a really cool thing, Andy. I had the first drop shot rod that Shimano ever had in Canada. I was in Tom Brooks' office, and he said, "Do you know what drop shotting is?" And I said, "I've heard about it." And he says to me, "Here's a rod we're going to put out for it." And it was a pistol grip drop shot rod. And it had a little keeper on the end of the handle and all stuff like that to hold it to, but it was a pistol grip. And I thought to myself, wow, that's got to be the weirdest thing ever. I forget what series of rods it was in, and that's why I learned the drop shot. I was catching largemouths in the Big Rito drop shotting 28 years ago.
Yeah.
It was, before it all, really got going. And I mean, now the equipment that we have is, it's offside when you see.
You know what? I still have a pit. I have, and I've always maintained one pistol grip in my boat, even till today. I don't know why, but I find that if I'm going to cast under a dock, it's a short rod.
Oh yeah,
nothing beats it. There's nothing better than it. And it's like, and you just find you can do it all day because it's like there's not a lot of wrist. There is wrist action, but it doesn't seem like it's. But just a pistol grip, I don't even know who makes them. Do they still make them? Like I've never actually looked. I know it sounds bad.
I'm sure they got to be out there.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I still have. I'm not going to get into brands, but I still have a pistol grip. I have a couple. Actually, I have one that's brand new, right? But I keep them always one in my rod locker. Just I enjoy it. They're usually light and they work well. But so.
Yeah, what the heck? You like it? Do it.
Yeah, you know what? It is what it is. I don't know. It's something, maybe nostalgia behind it that makes you feel like, hey, you're doing something, that's keeping the old in you. And that's always, I've always liked that about you because, we do seminars and over the years, and the seminars have always been about what's new. And you over the years have been straight out and said, hey, guys, sometimes, you can use the old and it works just as good, right? So,
well, a lot of times, Andy, the stuff that we use today is the same stuff, but they've just slightly changed it or added something to it. Like we were talking about, when you opened up the show, the flash boost, the minnows.
Yeah.
So we've added something to it. Who thought that we would be ice fishing with pink rattle baits?
Yeah, true.
And smoking the fish, and it's just doing different things, and it's through more. I really believe when people come and they learn from you at a show, and then they pass all the information on to their friends after, and then they get out and they do it, and it works. And I have a lot of guys come to me and say to me, "Oh, well, I've got a such and such," and they show you a lure, and they say, "This is all I ever need." And I say, "Well, do you catch fish every day?" And they say, "No, well, not nobody does." Well, and that's true too. There are days when some are just not good days, but if you're using just one thing, you're just anybody can make one lure the best lure on their lake. Because if you got 50 guys out there and say they're all trolling for lake trout, and you give 45 of them a white crankbait to troll, then most of the fish are going to be caught on a white crankbait because it's a game of odds, and that's what's down there. Although it's not the best choice, and it's things like that people get caught up in, like fishing for walleyes below a dam in May when the season opens, when they've finished up spawning there, and you catch some, and then they go back there and fish for the rest of the year and complain, but the fish are gone. So there's a seasonal movement, things like that. And it's not so much, you really need to learn about the fish themselves and what they do. That's how you become successful. It's like, one of the guys that we know, like, Bruce Tufts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, Bruce was a biologist, uh, and a very, very competent one. I think the correct term for him is actually a fish physiologist. So I mean, he knows all about fish. He's done all Shimano's catch and release research, and plus a whole bunch of other research out here in Lake Ontario on the smallmouths. And I spent some time with him, and the amount of time that he's spent on the water with good fishermen, that guy's become a crackerjack fisherman. You know what I mean? It's if you
Gord
open your
Pizer, Gord Pizer, he's in fisherman guys. He's spent a lot of
Yeah.
time with some top guys, and
I always call Gord Sir Gordon.
Sir Gordon. Oh,
Sir Gordon. And he is the king. There's no doubt about that. What an incredible guy. The opportunities, his insight, the way he looks around at things and sees them. Plus, look where he gets the fish. Wow.
Yeah. I just want to touch on Bruce Tufts a little bit because, like, most of the guys, you all know, we run tournaments for people watching and stuff. And Bruce Tufts, who's actually he heads up the program at Queen's University, and for not for catch release, but just on fish care. And Shimano has put a lot of money into the program over the years, and we actually use Bruce Tufts' studies in bettering us. I know Renegade does, we do, and a lot of that stems back now. A lot of like top events like in the US are also using that same type of that same knowledge to better the fish care and making things good. So my hat goes off. I don't got one on right now, but Bruce, you're doing a great job, and I hope you keep doing it. And he's definitely a friend of the sport, and I can't begin to thank him enough for what he's done to help us as tournament organizers, and keeping the fish first is probably the best way of saying it. So, but
really funny. We sat in the boat the last time we were out here, and in the morning he caught a nice walleye. It was probably like 5 pounds maybe.
Yeah.
But it was really short and plump, and it would be to me, right on the limit of where you'd want to keep a fish to eat. Maybe to me that's a little bit too big, and we hummed and hawed. So I said to him, well, put it in the live well. You're allowed to harvest the fish, Bruce, because he's like me. I mean, I think it's been 3 years since I kept the fish. Last spring, I sat behind a house here and caught a bunch of crappies one night, had them in a bucket, and was going to keep them. And I looked in the bucket and thought, wow, this was like the best crappie fish I've had since I moved here out the back, just off the dock, And I said to myself, nah. And I tilted the bucket and poured them all back in. And Bruce kept that fish all day. We got back in, and we were going back into the marina there. And he stopped the boat, went and got the fish and slid it back in the water. So it was kind of cool. I told him, hey, you let my dinner go.
Hey, let me ask you a quick question just about that catch and keep. Like, that's like not catch and keep, but what do you consider is a good fish, like walleye? What's a good size walleye to keep? Like, I know they've got slots that kind of, say, hey, this is the ones that aren't really significant, but like, what would you say is like, if you're going to keep a fish, right? Like because like right now you don't need to keep a big fish. Just all these taxidermists, advanced taxidermy, we actually did a show with them. And then replicas are amazing, so there's no need to keep.
Hey, look over my shoulder.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that. I was looking at that. I was there when you got that. Just so you know that. It was a big thing. How many years was that where you were with Shimano?
That was for being with Shimano for 25 years.
Yeah, and see, I remember that.
And so here we are coming up. It's going to be 40 now.
Wow, you're dating yourself. I'm happy.
Andy, wake up in this body one day, and you'll never be the same.
Dude, you can't hit me because I'm too far away from you.
I got the reach.
So what size fish should we be keeping? Like, for people, when we're talking, and people do eat bass. I know we promote putting them back in. But like, if you're just a guy fishing, this would be a great tip. Like, what would be a good size walleye to keep, and which ones should you definitely not keep?
Like a 2-pounder, a 1 or 2 pounder is what you need. I'm dead set against people going out. I really get caught up. I think a lot of people get caught up on the word limit. And they're always trying to catch their limit and keep their limit. Like, that's not a rule. Just because you go fishing doesn't mean you have to keep 6 fish or you have to keep 5 or 2 or whatever the limit is. I'm a firm believer in I just keep what I'm probably going to eat. Like when I keep fish, Andy, it's usually a dinner and then a sandwich at noon the next day with the rest of the fish that's left over. I just have that. I plan it that way, and very very seldom will you see me put fish in the freezer. Very seldom, because they have a tendency to be forgotten,
Yeah.
and they get wasted. Everybody's got a freezer burn bag of fillets in the fridge, and it's a waste of fish that way. But those smaller fish, the odds of them getting big are really slim because nature's really rude. People don't realize that, how tough it is to grow up and become a big fish. So, like a 1 or 2 pound walleye, if you're going to keep it bass, like 14, 15 inches, a pound and a half, 2 pounds, 2.5 in that range. But these big fish, like people always say, like when I was a kid, they used to say, oh, you got to keep the big ones, put the little ones back and let them grow. And that was like the most wrong statement I think ever in the world, because why not just put the big one back that's already growing and is making babies, making lots of babies, and is passing on a genetic code for the fish to get bigger and stuff like that, and keep small ones. And we missed that a long time ago. And I still see that at a lot of the things I do with guys that are, maybe like a little bit older than me, like 10, 12, 15 years older, like guys that are getting into their 80s, late 70s. They've got that attitude of still, if they go down and they stand on the dock and they catch 2 pound bass and throw them back in, and they catch a 4 pounder and they run home to cook it. And it's like, it's not good for the fishery. The average angler now is so much better than he was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You remember when shows started, you'd do a seminar and they would ask questions. And the number one question was, where's the best lake to fish? That would be the number. That's what you'd hear. What's your favorite color? After you just spent 10 minutes telling them. And like the anglers today are just completely different. They're educated, they're knowledgeable, they've got the right equipment, they know what to do. I mean, you see guys out there now, they got 17-foot boats and they've got $5,000 worth of electronics on them, and stuff like that. Like they've really learned how to catch more fish and how to get it done. And those are the guys that 9 times out of 10 are putting the fish back because they realize that you can put a hurt on the fish population and it can happen pretty quick. But they, definitely putting those fish back. And as for eating, like I like to eat pike. Pike are really good eating. You catch a 3 or 4 pound pike out of the St. Lawrence or Lake Ontario or something, or just like a lake trout type lake. They're just great to eat.
Yeah, I've eaten pike. I actually, it's just a matter of the wide bone, figuring out how to get. If you understand the structure of the fish, it's actually very like just I've been doing a lot of whitefish lately. Like I've been smoking them, and there's a wide bone there too. And once you figure it out, it's so easy and it's done very quickly.
Smoking fish, God, you could pick up a dead fish floating on the surface with the seagulls pecking at it, bring it home and smoke it. It would taste good.
Yeah, well, not the way I smoke. I put a lot of work into my smoking, the primary and everything else.
Now they'd be extra good then.
Yeah, it's extra good, but it's true. Like it's like pike is actually a good species, and it's good. It's also sometimes it's a fun fish to catch because it's a big fish, and you get to some of these lakes. There's so many of them that I feel that that's a fish that not that deserves to be hurt, because that's not the case at all. But it's a fish that is sustainable. That if you are going to go out and you want to do a shore lunch, then you should learn more about pike fishing, because even the kids, they're going to catch a big, you catch a 2 pound pike. It's long enough that you feel like you got something big. The kids enjoy it, right? So but it is a very tasty fish, and
big white flakes,
It's actually really, really good.
Really,
So
really nice.
let's get back to Big Jim and where you are today. So like the magazine, like what or the newspaper. Now, obviously now it's digital, right? And I think with today and everything that we've gone through, more people have learned how to use the computer. So obviously it's a good thing, right? And it becomes a lot more, I think, interactive as well a lot of times because you're more hands-on. But like, when did the actual paper start? Like, how many years ago was that? Sorry.
I think it'd be like I think it's like 29 years, Andy.
Wow.
That we've been doing it. And I remember the first one, we had a picture of me and Bill Dance on the cover. And it's just that it's really cool to see stuff like that at this point in time, you know. You go back there, I had a guy, Pepe Baritsian,
Oh yeah.
down in Trenton there on the air base there, and he sent me a picture about a month ago one day of he was holding a copy of it. He had been going through a box of stuff in the garage, and he found the copy, and it was the very, very first one. And he just thought that it was really cool that he had that. He asked me if I wanted it, and I said, well, I actually have two, but I said keep it safe, and if you want to get it put in a frame or something, then I'll take it. Okay. I was bugging him, but it's been a ride with that. We're just talking about Bob Azumi. You know, he was in the first issue. We've had Bob on the cover. You know, we've had Dave on the cover. We've had Kevin Van Dam. We've had everybody. I've just been so blessed to be able to tap into these guys and do stuff with them. It's an incredible ride, and it's far from over, Andy. It's far from over.
I just like to see how it's going to evolve in the next 10 to 15 years from now. You know what I mean? Because it'll be something new again, right? You know, it'd be, it would be kind of cool just to maybe give you an idea of maybe hiring a student that needs a co-op job and taking some of those old issues and putting them on a site where people can go into. I think that would be amazing too.
Yeah, there is a lot of them there, Randy, because the paper was always online. We just didn't have a really good website. It was there just for people that, we'd have people pick up a copy. They used to come down to Toronto to one of the shows. As you know, a lot of people travel to come to the shows.
Oh yeah, I remember. They were gone in like minutes.
Yeah. And there'd be 20,000 copies in POW, and that was like when they come to the house, they get delivered to the house, and I delivered almost all of them in the very beginning. I used to run around for 3 or 4 days all over Ontario.
I remember
dropping them off, and it's like 4 skids, and they're up to my chest.
Yeah, I remember.
People used to be shocked. I mean, now the way it works with it being online now, we're almost double the readership just POW.
Yeah.
Because it went online, and it grows steadily. Every issue there's more and more and more, because it's so much easier to use having it online. It's one of those things. But and Tammy still does it all.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart, dude. You got a good one there. I think
she's a good one. She's a good one. Yeah, no, she she learned all the stuff. She's got her Macs there on her desk, and she puts that whole paper together. She's actually, we just started working about 2 weeks ago with a lady that is going to help us up the game on the internet for it.
Oh, really?
And man, some of the things that she has taught us in like literally 3 hours of consultation are absolutely incredible. Like things that you would never have figured out about being online in your life. And we already see in the space of days, we see things change. We see the numbers increase because she goes to percentages, Yeah. And it's amazing. So if there's anybody out there, I tell you, that wants a presence in social media and with their website, man, take the time to get someone that really knows it and understands it and helps you with it, because it'll make a huge difference.
Well, you know what? To me, Jim, I've known you so many years, and I think I've gone through some of the laws with you and some of the highs, and I'm happy you're here with us, and I'm happy more than anything else that we're going to be back at the spring fishing show next year, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. There's no doubt about that. And Andy, when you mentioned about the years too, there was a few years back there when we thought I might not be around here anymore.
Yeah.
And the support that I got from you, I still have my big Rapalas hanging in the garage that everybody signed. I still have them out there. I had one up here on one of the shelves that I have here, but I eventually took it out and I hung them up in the garage so I could look at them, that they weren't in a box. That's how much they meant to me. And I don't have very many things, because over the years, all the trophies. I mean, I had boxes and boxes and boxes of trophies from tournaments. Like I forget the first place stuff. When you get trophies for second, third, fifth, whatever. I gave most of them to the Boy Scout groups around Ottawa, and we just took the plaques off them and they used them for their fishing derby. So they go out with a bunch of Cub Scouts, and a little Cub Scout catches a 5-inch bluegill, and he gets a trophy that's 3 feet high for it. I just think stuff like that's really cool. And I've had some young kids come to me at the Ottawa show there at the pond that we do, I had one young lad came into me. He used to come there. His mom has a picture of him with me. She asked me to hold him. For some reason, Big Jim gets to hold babies. They scare the hell out of me. But I'm holding this little guy, and then all of a sudden there's pictures of him and he's 4 or 5, and then there's pictures of him and he's like 13 or 14, and then he shows up at the sportsman show. He's carrying a bag, and he comes over to me, and I recognize him, and I look at him and I said, "My God, what are they feeding you?" And he says, "Hey, Big Jim, whatever," and we're chatting, and he pulls a trophy out of a bag, and he says, "I won the junior Bassmasters in our Bassmaster Club," and he's got the trophy to show me. And the first cast that kid ever took was in the pond at the Ottawa show.
See, you've touched a lot, and you've directed a lot. That's a good thing, dude. And you know what? All those signatures and everything over the years, it just shows how much people love you. You're like the industry teddy bear. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I've seen you get mad a couple of times, and not it's like, whoa. But
I'll take that as a compliment.
But honestly, dude, I don't even know how to say this, man. I on behalf of the Just Fishing community, I thank you, and I'm very happy you're a part of it. And you know, we're gonna do more for next year. Actually, you're gonna be a part of the Ultimate Ice, and that's gonna be cool. I know you already told me you're not going on the tank, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I got from the cancer, Andy, was the chemotherapy did some nerve damage to me, and it's
well,
it's
dude,
coming to haunt.
please don't feel like I'm telling you to do it. So
No, it's coming to haunt me in my legs.
yeah.
And, I get around no problem. I'm up and out the door in the morning and going, whatever else. But I just got to be careful at times. And I don't need to be up on that tank. I'd fall off with my luck. I'd land on my back across the edge of the tank. Do the Homer Simpson. Don't.
You know what? It's like everything I've ever made has been Big Jim proof. Just saying, right? Anyways, and Big Andy proof, right? So, but dude, I'm looking so forward to seeing. I'm sure I'll probably see you before then, but I thank you for coming on this morning.
My pleasure.
It's Sunday, and we got Gord Pizer coming. We got who we got coming on today? Oh my God, I can't. Jeremy Smith's coming on. We got.
Oh, cool. Say hi for me.
Yeah, so they're all going to be on, and Jim Sarek, dude. Like, I can't begin to thank Jim for all the stuff he's done. So we got them all coming on today, and the whole thing about today is to get personal and just to kind of sit and talk fishing, just and where you guys have come from, where you stem from, and it's good to know, that you were that kid with the fishing rod in his walker.
Yep, no doubt about that. I still am.
Wait, thank you very much. And you want to give us a little quick that jig you just made? I just want to show people. Can you show me?
Oh, what I was making? Yeah.
Yeah, just show me that real quick, because that's a real cool thing. This is what Jim does on the side. It doesn't do enough.
This is my hobby that got out of control. So there's one that I made up. Got to put the spinner on the belly yet, but to look like a goby. And there's what I was actually tying when Andy came on with me. And there's one that looked a little bit like a crawfish type thing. But they need the spinners on the belly yet. And hopefully you'll see them in the mouth of a big bass like that up there. Or walleye or whatever.
I don't know. I've used your jigs, and I've caught every type of fish. Maybe not a catfish, but I've actually caught pike, I've caught muskie, I've caught walleye, I've caught bass, I've caught crappie with it. Perch. I've honestly caught every fish.
Yeah, I caught a 52-inch muskie on one in the Rideau River fishing for walleyes.
Yeah,
it's hooked right in the nose.
And that's what I'm saying. Like they work for just more, and they're only a couple of bucks, so it's not even that, and you don't have to keep putting new hooks on, new worms on it, and getting your hands on that stuff. So, anyway, thank you very much, bro. We love you, and
love you too, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. I'm sorry, I think Tori just got you off by accident there, but that was Big Jim, ladies and gentlemen. And if you follow our history, and you'll know that Big Jim is always a part of what we do, and he's a part of everybody. Like when you see him out there, I know he does a lot of other trade shows, gets involved. His wife's always there with them. Even with their pond that they do, their casting pond, the Ottawa show. They've done so much in the industry over the years, and Jim's been a big part of promoting fishing just in general. And his magazine or his newspaper, or now the online paper, has been just overwhelming with knowledge and bringing the newest stuff to the forefront of the fishing industry. So once again, Jim, thank you very much for everything you do for us, and thank you what you do for the industry. Can't wait till next year, buddy. Or actually, can't wait till the Ultimate Ice Fishing Show. See you then.
The best days happen out here, where the only thing on the line is what you can catch. And every cast could be the one that fills your memories with the fish of your lifetime. Mercury engines are made for exploring. So are you. Go boldly.